There was plenty of reason to be fired up about Tre Holloman's shot on Wednesday, but above all, is the Big Ten race implications the best one? Let's find out.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning in to today's show of Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white, usually 5 days a week, this week 6 days. That's right. I told everyone at the end of yesterday's show that yes, we're going to be joined by Locked On Badgers. We're going to break down Sunday's game, and that is still coming, but we're going to have that tomorrow around lunchtime for you guys right now. There was just so much more to unpack from Wednesday's game that we're not going to leave it alone just yet. We also hop on Isaac Shade's Locked On College Basketball show, so that's going to be in the second segment here. But first, let's talk about what that win meant on Wednesday. Of course, we talked ad nauseum about the game itself with our friend Sam Martin after that wonderful ending in College Park. But we want to go a little bit deeper into what this meant for the Big Ten title chase. Because there was a lot of reason to be fired up about Wednesday. It's a historic shot that we're going to be watching for years to come. And personally, one of my favorite parts about that win is that we didn't wake up feeling absolutely miserable on Thursday. Like, as fun of a win that was, oh my God, just avoiding that feeling as a fan, seeing your team melt down up 9 points in the last 5 minutes, horrendous turnovers, questionable foul calls, and then have your Big Ten lead, get into serious jeopardy. We don't have to worry about that because Tre Holloman is white hot from 55 feet. So thank you for your services, Tre. But guys, this is also incredibly important to what this meant for the Big Ten title chase. Obviously, Michigan State is in the thick of it. And if Michigan State lost, not only are we feeling horrible about ourselves on Thursday, but hey, you know what? Dr. Green and White of Spartans Illustrated, he says that, yeah, Michigan State would have had a 57% chance to share the Big Ten title with a loss. Okay, that's still greater than a coin toss odds, but this is what the win did. Instead of a 57% chance, according to Dr. Green and White, I want to make it clear, these are not my numbers. This is the smart guy over there at Spartans Illustrated. A win gives Michigan State now an 80.7% chance to share the Big Ten crown, a 57.5% chance to win it outright. Okay, so you boosted your odds by 23% to at least get a share of this regular season title with that shot that Tre Holloman hit. Thank you again, Tre, for what you have done to us. And the numbers too. Now, Michigan right now, they have a 41.1% chance to share, 18% chance to win it outright. And Wisconsin, hanging on by a sliver, they have a 5.5% chance to share the Big Ten title. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, of course, they have Michigan State now as minus 300 odds to win the Big Ten regular season title. That is 75% chance implied odds by the sport books out there. So Michigan State, that was a massive one. I'll say it again, they boosted their odds to win at least a share by 23% with that win in College Park. Now, how do you win it? I mean, it sounds silly. There's only 3 games left in the season, but there's still plenty of combinations for how Michigan State can win this championship, whether it's shared or whether it's outright. The easy way to do it outright, just win out. Just win at home against Wisconsin. Surely that'll be easy. It's not like Wisconsin has a great offense or anything. Then you got to win on the road at Iowa and then win at home against Michigan. But let's say Michigan loses one of their next 3 games before they come to Breslin Center. You can still win your next 2 and then lose to the Wolverines and then still get a share. Or, for example, if Michigan loses to Illinois and Maryland coming up, because I don't have much faith in Rutgers. Sorry, guys. They're 12-point underdogs. Iowa can be your clincher if you win this Sunday. So that's not all the examples there. But that's just still a few. It's weird. 3 games is still a long way to go before all this is settled. Now let's talk about what this means for the bracket. We're talking March Madness, the giant field. Now, Bracket Matrix, they combine all the brackets that you see online, from even the small itty-bitty blogs that only get 12 viewers a month, all the way up to Joe Lunardi, okay? 115 such brackets were updated on Wednesday. So some, as we're speaking on Thursday, haven't been updated yet. But of the 115 brackets going into that Maryland game, Michigan State was the 3rd best 2 seed overall. Once you combine all of those brackets, they were as good as a 2 seed. They were never a 1 seed, but there's at least one person that rated them as high as a 5 seed. So Respectfully, I don't know what crack they're smoking, not to throw a bad accusation on someone, but a 5 seed, unless Michigan State loses out and then Jase bows out for the season to get ready for the NBA draft early, I don't foresee that happening. But let's talk about what 131 Sports is doing. Now, this is friend of the program, Joe Cook-Sugart. He is one of the best bracketologists out there. He is always highly rated on the bracket matrix. Right now, and he did update this after the Maryland game, he has Michigan State as the third best 2 seed still, behind Florida and Tennessee as the other 2 seeds. Now, the 1 seeds, that's going to be hard to top any of these guys: Alabama, Duke, Auburn, Houston. You got to hope that the wheels fall off of Alabama and Houston. And still, you're probably behind Florida and Tennessee by a decent enough margin. They've also had fantastic seasons, but you're not going to hate this draw because 131 Sports has Michigan State as the 2 seed in Cleveland against Robert Morris. Now, that's going to be opposite of number 7 Ole Miss and number 10 Baylor. So, strong programs, really strong head coaches over there with Ole Miss and Baylor, but you're also going to be in the Midwest region. That is going to be in Indianapolis with Alabama as the 1 seed. Should everything be Joe Cook-Sugart's way. So before getting with our guy, Isaac Shade of Locked On College Basketball, did just want to go more into like the fan brain after Wednesday's game here, because Michigan State on such a hot streak on the road, beating great teams. So I went to Twitter, or X, depending on what you want to call it. I don't really care, but I said you get to watch the replay of just one of these MSU road wins. The other 2 are deleted from your memory bank. Which one are you going with? The options: at Illinois, at Michigan, at Maryland. At the time of recording, almost 1,000 of you voted, and Michigan is the runaway winner right now, 68.3%. At Maryland, 25.8%. And then at Illinois, just 5.9%. I say, not to pat myself in the back, but that's a very tough question. There is many things to like about each game. I actually think I'm going to cut against the grain here. Not to be all hot take artist or anything, but I love beating Michigan. It's a lot of fun, especially when, we're so close together in this Big Ten race. Had a lot of fun. Okay. Great Friday evening we just had. That Maryland game, amazing. My goodness. Well, the last shot was amazing. Everything before that, kind of some ugly basketball. So I'm actually going to go with the 5.9% here at Illinois. And maybe it's just because, it's just been a passionate back and forth between the fan bases this year, Illini fans, Spartan fans. But what Michigan State did in that game, coming back down 16 points in that weekend atmosphere, that was Illinois' Super Bowl. Just the way they did it, Jackson Kohler hitting big shot after big shot, just, oh my goodness gracious. I think that's going to be the one I'd like to replay over and over again. But, hey, you know what? If you're going to say the Michigan game, certainly not going to say you're wrong. I'd be a clown to do so. If you're going to say the Maryland game, yeah, I've watched a replay of that shot no less than 300 times today just for it to go poof in the air and I just got to forget about it. Well, that certainly wouldn't be easy. But, yeah, just what kickstarted this whole win streak right now at Illinois, down 16 points, the way they did it. Yeah, I'm going to go with that one. Man, it's just what a great problem to have. You don't know which awesome road victory you're going to want to choose from. All right, guys. Hey, we will be back here in a hot second. Just got to talk everyone's ears off about FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook, as you guys already know. Now, if you like Michigan State to win the Big Ten title at minus 300 odds, hey, you know what? Not the greatest odds in the world to get money back, but your prerogative. Go ahead and make that bet over at America's #1 sportsbook. We're talking FanDuel. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off of the NBA action, or you want to bet a fourth quarter comeback, you could still stay in that action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine those live bets into a same-game parlay. And I love using FanDuel's live betting features because, well, sometimes you just get a hunch when you're watching an NBA game in the fourth quarter. Yeah, I don't care that this team's down 14 points. Feeling okay about it. Go ahead, put money where your mouth is, and then if you win that bet, here's my favorite part, you get paid out like almost instantly with FanDuel. You're not waiting for 5 commercial breaks to roll around. You're refreshing your app wondering, where is the money? No. FanDuel takes care of you swiftly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
There is no place we can start today other than College Park, Maryland. And I'm so sorry, Scott Van Pelt. I know you're very sad right now. But my guy, Matt Sheehan, the host of Locked On Spartans, is here with us. And if you did not see his video on Twitter of him running through the streets after it is life-changingly good. I think within about 30 minutes, that tweet already had about 600 likes on it, and it's crazy. I have no idea where it's at. Matt Sheehan, congrats to Sparty. Michigan State goes into College Park, number 8 at number 16, 58-55. Win. And look, we'll talk about the game. We'll talk about stats and everything that happened, but we got to start with this ending where Tre Holloman makes a frankly boneheaded giveaway right near the end of the game that basically makes it seem like, okay, are we going to overtime? What's going to happen here? Maryland gets a couple free throws to tie it up. Take me through where you're at in that moment.
Going to try really hard because I kind of blacked out after the shot. Next thing you know, I was 6 houses down in my socks, 33-degree weather here in Michigan, and my feet are still a little frozen right now, but that's okay. At least my heart rate's declined to a reasonable rate now, a good 2 hours after the game ended, but that was quite the stretch there, and they were up 9, 5 minutes and 20 seconds left, and that was a 9 points that in that game felt like 29 points. That was a rock fight. Yes. Pure old like early 2000s Big Ten basketball.
I mean, we were 23-21 at halftime, dude.
Horrible basketball. It was ugly. It was hideous. No one could hit a shot, but I know what our problem was. We just haven't taken any from 55 feet yet that whole game. And then Tre said, why don't I just dot one from here? Well, no, that was a disastrous sequence at the end. The turnovers, the other turnover, Jackson Kohler missing the bunny. And then you go down. It's like, well, let's just hope that we get to overtime. Jackson Kohler, guy who just missed the layup, gets the rebound, passes up to Tre Holloman, and then, okay, that's the prayer. At least we got out of here alive. Going to overtime. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're going home, kids. Everyone get in the bus. We're going to the airport. We're going back to East Lansing with a victory because basketball is fun here again. Isaac, this is great. The last 3 or 4 years have just been miserable, just crawling our way to the bubble every year, and now – like Big Ten driver's seat, looking at a 2 seed. Dare I say, like if things get really good, maybe a 1 seed, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself.
Well, let's not go that far, Sheehan.
Well, I am going to go that far because nothing can stop my vibe right now. Sure. But in a real note, at this point, you could lose the last 3 games, last 3 regular season games in the Big Ten tournament. You're probably going to top out at a 4 seed for March. I mean, it's just a really good spot Michigan State is at. They need to win at least 2 of these last games here to get a share of the Big Ten title should they beat Michigan at home that last game. So it's you really felt like you got away with one here, and you're breathing a sigh of relief for the Big Ten race too. So it's
yeah.
Oh my God. I hope that was articulate somewhat.
It was. You're still spinning, and I love it. The energy is great. So let's dial in on the game a little bit, and then we'll look ahead to the Big Ten regular season ending as well as the NCAA tournament. You brought it up, Sheehan. I think we're also focused on the Tre Holloman redemption, that it would be easy to miss that Jackson Kohler redemption because, as you said, after Maryland ties it up, we get a timeout. Michigan State has a great play. Kohler just misses that bunny. And as you said, at that point, it was like 10, 11, 12 seconds left on the clock, and you're just hoping for overtime. Kohler gets the rebound off the Maryland miss. Most basketball players all over the world, 1, 2, 3 dribbles, shot, right? It reminds me of the same thing. Let's go back to the 2019 NCAA tournament. Kihei Clark for Virginia, instead of taking that half-court shot, passes ahead to Mamadi Diakite to allow Virginia to get that game to overtime against Purdue.
Purdue. I watched that replay last night. Yeah, Purdue.
Yeah. It's not that level because he wasn't all the way in the backcourt and having to pass, but it's that same thought process of let me get this ball to a guard who's going to have a better shot. And so I think there was also great redemption in that moment for Jackson Kohler.
100%. And like really just – it was a whole redemption for Michigan State offensively, too, because that was a horrendous game offensively. Michigan State, they're obviously having some issues shooting the three-point ball. And, again, I'll say this again. Maybe they just got to back up 30 more feet than they're usually used to shooting at. But I still feel like even with all that ugliness on offense, like you could call the half-court shot like a fluke, if you will. I'm not going to be upset at anyone for that. But Izzo said this after the game. This is what we said at Locked On Spartans after the game. Check me on this, Isaac. Like, so you can call me a homer if you want. I've been called plenty of worse things, but I still feel like the better team won that game because what's Michigan State's calling card? It's rebounding. Okay, they won that margin by double digits, and it's defense. This is the third road game in a row. They have not let their other team score in the last 4 minutes, at least a field goal, I should say. They got some free throws there, but
sure.
Against Michigan, against Illinois too, in the last 5 minutes of the game, or 4 minutes of the game, no field goals made. Like, the defense just puts the clamps down late. So that was never an issue with Michigan State all afternoon. It was the offense until, well, it wasn't there at the end. So plenty of redemption stories all around for this team today.
I don't think that is a homer take. I think I think it's an accurate take, but here's why I think it's important, because both of these teams are playing very good basketball right now, Matt, right? Like, Maryland is a little bit of a sleeping giant that nobody's going to want to face in either the Big Ten tournament or the NCAA tournament, kind of similar to Wisconsin. I don't think either of those teams are going to win the Big Ten regular season. I think that's either you guys or the Wolverines, but I think both Maryland and let's lump Wisconsin in there are very capable of winning the conference tournament. And so Michigan State was the better team. I thought it was a very close game, but on the whole, the Spartans were the better team. Now, let me say something about one other thing about that ending sequence. Jacoby Gillespie comes down and takes that three. And this is one of those things that drives me crazy about college basketball a lot, Matt, that it happens far more often than it should, is end of half, like either end of first half, end of second half, end of an overtime, end of segment situations where players settle for outside shots when they've got plenty of time to at least try to get to the rim and either get the ball up or get fouled. I went back and paused it. As he took the shot, it was 4-point-something seconds left on the clock. Yeah. Matt, that is plenty of time for him to get to the rim. I thought that was a mental error from Jacoby Gillespie that the Spartans benefited. You know, everyone talks about the Tre Holloman physical error, but nobody's giving Gillespie crap for not getting to the rim like he should have done to try to put a referee in a difficult spot to have to decide if they wanted to blow the whistle. And so I think a break there for Sparty.
That's kind of where I was going to go, is like, why not go to the paint? Because they were getting the call whenever they wanted it, really. And not to make this a whole ref bashing segment, but that's truly how the game was trending at the end. It's tied. Like, just get to the line by any means necessary, or at least throw the ball to Rodney Rice, the guy that isn't shooting. It was 2 for 9 shooting from Gillespie before he attempted that last one. I would give it to the hot hand there. I would try to work it inside. I wouldn't dial it up from 29, 30 feet. I don't know. It's all a blur to me, but clearly I'm happy he did do that because it all worked out. So good on you, Gillespie. Attaboy. Yeah, there we go. Get yours, bud.
Oof. Yeah. And I can't remember, like, it's a blur for me in some ways too, but I'm assuming Derek Queen's on the floor at that point, draw the defensive attention and dump it off to him for a game-ending dunk, which again, didn't happen, but there you go. That is an issue across college basketball all the time. Y'all just keep watching. You'll see it happen. Now, let's talk about the Jase Richardson evolution, Matt. This was his 6th game in a row. You're like, yes, more of that all the time. This is his 6th game in a row starting. And credit to Coach Izzo, who has pulled the trigger on this late in the season. He is the leading scorer. In fact, the only Spartan in double digits in this game. But I think it's important to say, yes, he's the leading scorer, but also every Spartan that played, all 10 of them scored. So there is something to that. Mm-hmm. But in the same moment that we tip our cap to Coach Izzo for that, let's also tip our cap to Tre Holloman, who we've been talking about, because he's the guy that goes to the bench, but still is like, I'm good. I'm in for the team. Let's do this thing.
100%. I'm really glad you brought that up too, because especially in this age of college basketball, like, it's always me first, it seems. But Tre has really taken that back seat, and even behind closed doors, like, I'm not hearing any drama whatsoever. And you can see it just in his play too. Like, he knows his role. He knows when he's got to be more aggressive. He knows when he's got to rise and take that shot, and he's been doing it as of late here, especially he hit the buzzer beater today. But before that one, like, it was not the greatest offensive game from Tre Holloman. That doesn't paint a good picture of how good he's been the last 2-3 weeks for the Spartans here, coming off the bench like you mentioned. But Jase, what a diamond that you found there, which sounds ridiculous because he was like rated high 4-star. It's not like he was some unheard of guy. He's the son of Jase Richardson, who won a national title here a few years ago.
Heard of him?
Decades, but who's counting? But still, the issue with this team during that rough stretch when they lost 3 of 4 games was, okay, well, this team clearly doesn't have a guy they can go to late here. Like, sure, it's deep. They have plenty of depth. It's going to take them only so far, but we're missing that guy. Just like I said, enter Jase Richardson in the starting lineup the last few games. He's been dynamite. 3-level score, 3-point threat, which no one else on the team can really say that consistently. So it's just been a fantastic year for the freshmen. So might be the only year we get out of him, unfortunately, but he's making it count at least. So it can't be too upset.
Yes, 100%. And I mean, he's just looked fantastic. Now, for those who might not be aware, this is the third straight ranked win in a row. And I don't just mean the third straight, time Michigan State has played a ranked team they've won. I mean, for the last 3 games, Michigan State has played a ranked team and they've beaten them all versus Purdue, who, by the way, is on a 4-game losing streak right now. If nobody's noticed that. Right. At number 12, Michigan, at 16, Maryland. So 2 of these 3 on the road, and now finish with 2 out of the final 3 also being ranked, hosting Wisconsin on Sunday, then at Iowa, and then hosting Michigan to wrap the regular season. So the good news is 2 more ranked games, but they're both at home while you go to Iowa sandwiched in between. As for Maryland, they finish at Penn State, at Michigan, and then hosting Northwestern to wrap their regular season. So as Matt, as you said already, Michigan State now half game up on the Wolverines, who just, haven't played as many games quite yet. And so we'll keep our eyes on this, but Michigan State in good shape now. There's that whole gaggle of teams back behind that have 6 losses, Maryland, Purdue, UCLA, and those 3. And Michigan State could still technically get to 6 losses, hold the tiebreaker over Maryland and Purdue, but not UCLA, if I'm thinking correctly in real time here. And so that'll all play itself out. We don't even need to worry about those tiebreakers. We'll find it out. But Matt, legitimately here, quickly, what are your thoughts on, can Michigan State close out this thing and win the regular season outright? And then, I know you were saying like, hey, I'm leaning all into the crazy, but I feel like Michigan State legit shot at a 2 seed here.
I think so too. And really quick before I answer that, I got to give you credit. You cover how many teams. You just knew MSU's tiebreakers off the top of your head like that. That is outstanding work on your end. So we're not going to let that go by without mentioning that. But I think the 2 seed is very much within their sights. You do got to close out this rest of the regular season. Just like you said, this home game against Wisconsin is going to be tough, but top 15 team. No reason to believe that Michigan State at least shouldn't win that game. And then, if they can go all the way to the end of the season, especially if one of these teams can finally actually beat Michigan in these 1-possession games and, maybe give us a cushion and then maybe help us get a banner here and win the regular season title. That'd be great if anyone wants to be serious in the last 2 minutes against Michigan. But until then, I guess we'll just have to try to keep winning these last 3 games to get at least a share, if not outright Big Ten titles. So it's all in front of us. It's all smiles in East Lansing. And, oh, God, we haven't said that since pre-COVID, Isaac. It's been a long time since I've been this happy.
I know you would like some breathing room, but as a third-party observer, I would love Michigan State, Michigan to close the regular season to be for all the Big 12, Big 10 regular season marbles. And I know
I don't, right? I don't know. I would like it to be like we've at least clinched a share, but then we're going for the outright. So at least we're guaranteed a banner. I'm already in the bargaining stage of this because I'm a big worrier. But that's just a peek into my little pathetic brain right there. That's where I'm at, though, as a fan.
Great stuff. I love it. Big thanks to Matt Sheehan, everybody from Locked On Spartans, for joining us. If you haven't checked out his great content over there, make sure to do so. Go over there right now. Now, moving forward, it was a big old fat bubbly night on Wednesday with bubbles bursting and tickets potentially being punched all over the place, including the Vanderbilt Commodores might be dancing after they won in College Station in the first year under Mark Byington. Crazy stuff. We'll get to that and much more coming up in just a second.